Have you ever wondered what single event set the world ablaze, plunging us into the most devastating conflict in human history, World War II? Dive with me into the year 1939, when the seemingly tranquil European landscape was shattered by the thunderous roar of German tanks rolling into Poland. This invasion, unprovoked and ruthless, served as the spark that ignited the raging inferno of World War II. Germany, under the iron grip of Adolf Hitler, had been secretly amassing a formidable military force in direct violation of the Treaty of Versailles, which had ended the First World War. Poland, unfortunately, found itself in the crosshairs of Hitler's aggressive expansionist policies, and on the 1st of September 1939, the German forces crossed the Polish border, marking the beginning of the war. But why, you might ask, did the invasion of a single country set off a conflict that would engulf the entire globe? The answer lies in the alliances of the time. Poland had pacts of mutual assistance with both Britain and France, and these nations, honor-bound, declared war on Germany 2 days after the invasion. Now let's take a moment to understand the nature of this invasion. Germany employed a strategy they called blitzkrieg, or lightning war. This was a new kind of warfare, one that focused on speed and surprise, aiming to swiftly crush the enemy before they had a chance to react. The German forces, with their modern tanks and aircraft, overran the Polish defenses with alarming speed, demonstrating the terrifying effectiveness of the blitzkrieg. This assault on Poland was not just an act of aggression against one nation, it was a direct challenge to the entire world order. It was a signal that the old rules no longer applied, that the era of peaceful diplomacy was over, and that the world was once again on the brink of a global conflict. And just like that, the world was once again thrust into a massive conflict, with nations choosing sides and preparing for war. As the war raged on, the Axis powers led by Germany, Italy, and Japan aggressively expanded their territories. But how did they manage to do this? In the year 1940, the world watched in disbelief as the unstoppable German war machine executed a blitzkrieg, or lightning war, against France. The French resistance was valiant, but ultimately proved futile against the well-oiled German military machine. In less than 2 months, France was forced to sign an armistice, effectively surrendering to the Axis powers. This marked a major expansion of German territory and influence in Europe. Around the same time, the Battle of Britain was unfolding. The German Luftwaffe attempted to gain air supremacy over the British Royal Air Force. Although heavily outnumbered, the British held their ground, showcasing the resilience of the nation. Despite this, the Battle of Britain marked a period of intense aerial warfare, and the German threat loomed large over Britain. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, the Japanese Empire was steadily making inroads into the Pacific. By the end of 1941, they had successfully invaded much of Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. This expansion culminated in the infamous attack on Pearl Harbor in December of the same year, which marked the beginning of the Pacific War and led to the United States' entry into the global conflict. The Axis powers' rapid expansion was due in large part to their military prowess, strategic planning, and the element of surprise. They were able to swiftly take control of key territories, stretching their influence across vast areas of the globe. In the face of such aggressive expansion, the world was left reeling. The Axis powers' actions not only shocked the world but also brought new players into the fray. Countries that had previously remained neutral or passive were now compelled to take action. The United States, for instance, was jolted out of its isolationist stance by the attack on Pearl Harbor. This rapid expansion shocked the world and brought new players into the fray, changing the course of the war. In the midst of this global conflict, the tide began to turn against the Axis powers. But what were the key events that brought about this shift? One of the most pivotal moments was the Battle of Stalingrad, fought during the harsh winter months of 1942 and 43. The Soviet Union and Germany locked horns in a bitter struggle for control over this industrial city, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The city's ruins became a war zone where every street and building was a battleground. Despite the odds, the Soviet Union emerged victorious, marking the first major defeat of Hitler's forces. This battle was a turning point for multiple reasons. It not only halted the German advance into the Soviet Union, but also drained their resources and morale. The loss at Stalingrad was a blow from which the Axis powers could not recover, significantly weakening their offensive capabilities. Simultaneously, another crucial event was unfolding in the south. In the summer of 1943, the Allies invaded Italy. The Italian campaign was a brutal and protracted conflict, but it ultimately led to the fall of Benito Mussolini, Italy's fascist dictator. This marked a significant step forward for the Allies, as the Axis alliance began to crumble from within. But the most significant turning point was yet to come. On June 6, 1944, the Allies launched their invasion of Normandy, known as D-Day. Thousands of troops stormed the beaches in an operation that marked the largest amphibious invasion in history. Despite heavy losses, the Allies secured a foothold in Western Europe, opening a new front against the Nazis. This monumental event marked a decisive shift in the course of the war. The successful invasion of Normandy signified that the end was near for Hitler's reign of terror. It was the beginning of a relentless push towards Berlin by the Allies, which would eventually lead to the end of the Second World War. These monumental events marked the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. In 1945, after 6 years of brutal conflict, World War II finally came to an end. But what led to this conclusion, and what was the aftermath? As the war approached its final chapter, the fall of Berlin marked a significant turning point. Berlin, the heart of the Third Reich, fell into the hands of the Allies after a fierce battle. The man who had orchestrated the war, Adolf Hitler, met his end in a bunker in Berlin, a demise that symbolized the crumbling of Nazi Germany. In the wake of Hitler's death, Germany was left with no choice but to surrender unconditionally. The capitulation of Germany in May 1945 marked the end of the war in Europe, but the conflict was not yet over on the global stage. Across the world, in the Pacific theater, the situation was reaching a critical point. The United States, in a move to hasten the end of the war, dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. The devastation was unimaginable, the human cost unthinkable. It was a grim demonstration of the destructive power humanity had harnessed. Faced with this overwhelming force, Japan surrendered, marking the official end of World War II. But the end of the war did not mean the end of its effects. The world had changed, old powers had fallen, and new ones had risen. Nations sought to establish an international forum to prevent such a devastating war from happening again. Thus, the United Nations was born, with the aim of fostering international cooperation and maintaining international peace and security. However, the end of World War II also saw the beginning of a new conflict, the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, both victors of the war, found themselves locked in a tense ideological battle that would last for nearly half a century. And so, the world moved on from this dark chapter in history, forever changed by the events of World War II. World War II was a defining period in human history, filled with countless stories of heroism, tragedy, and change. But what are the key takeaways from this global conflict? Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've just explored. The war was ignited by a spark, a series of political and economic instabilities that eventually led to an explosion of conflict. This spark was fueled by the expansion of the Axis powers, who sought to reshape the world in their image, often through brutal and oppressive means. Yet, the tide of war did not remain in their favor. The turning point came as the Allied forces rallied, pushing back against the Axis powers' advance. This shift was not without its own set of challenges and losses, but it marked a crucial step towards the end of the war. In the end, the war concluded with a changed world. The aftermath was far-reaching and profound, shaping political, cultural, and societal landscapes in ways that are still evident today. The end of the war, however, was not the end of its legacy. World War II left behind a world that had been irrevocably changed. It showed us the heights of human courage and resilience, but also the depths of our capacity for destruction. It forever changed the way we understand warfare, politics, and human nature itself. This war also served as a stark reminder of the cost of conflict. Millions of lives were lost, and countless others were forever altered. The echoes of this war still resonate today, reminding us of the importance of striving for peace and understanding. As we remember the events of World War II, we are reminded of the cost of war and the importance of striving for peace. This narrative of our past serves as a beacon, guiding us towards a future where we can hopefully avoid such devastating conflicts. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Thank you for watching.